there you go. Alright, so why are we doing this? I asked myself. Alright, so this came out of all the chats we were having on the WhatsApp Lean group about Kanbans and how to do it, and somewhere along the line we got talking about stuff I was playing with in Gsuite and how I was working with that, and a client who likes it because he doesn't have to pay anything for it, essentially. So we started talking to him about it and talked to him about the rules of Kanban and how it works. So rather than kind of going...
And then I gave you a bunch of crazy ideas.
Yeah, exactly. You went, oh, it'd be great if we could do this, and could do that, and do this. And like, oh yeah, those would work. So I sat down with him and said, look, these are all of the things that we want to do, and this is why. Right? And then I sold him all these benefits of Kanban. So, we're going to reduce your stock, we're going to do all this, it's going to be great. And he believed me, which was really good. And the other thing I did is we set about try to figure out how much stock he actually had to start with, and what that would be in terms of Kanban. The challenge for him is he's a contract house, so he uses a lot of stuff based on customer demand, but not a lot of his own stuff. So I found from digging through a whole bunch of notes the actual formula for doing Kanban. And working out how much stock we needed. And looking through that, we had a chunk more stock than we needed in some stuff and not enough in other stuff, which was quite interesting. But in terms of what we come up with was this. So this is how the Google system hangs together, or what we want to do. We want it to be like scan a barcode. And we went with a 2D one, using that with ideally your mobile phone, then input that into a Google form. And so what we've done is we've created a pre-filled Google form. So create the Google form, and I'll take you through that in a bit, for capturing the information. And then within Google Forms, you can actually create a template which gives you a code for a pre-filled in form, and you just reference that, and it loads up that form all the time, which is really good. And then we've done a couple of spreadsheets, which one's like a stock transaction list, which is fed from the Google form, and another sheet which you probably don't have to have a separate sheet. I just did it a separate sheet, which is a kind of product supplier list, and it's got all the products on. And we use VLOOKUPs.
Well, if you were using a database or whatever, something like that, you'd have it as a separate table anyways, so it's all good.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of where my head started. Like many years ago, I did stuff in Access database, and it was like small bite-sized chunks of everything.
Yep.
As you can build it up and test it, go, yep, that works, and okay, that's fine.
Yep.
And then you use a plugin. So one of the great things about the G Suite stuff, the Google Sheets and whatnot, and the forms is there's all these free add-ons, or add-ons that are free into a point. You can do X number of transactions on them, or X number of runs, or you can use them for 6 months or a year or whatever, and you don't pay for anything. So you can test it out and go, yeah, that works. And if you like it, then you pay for the next level up. And UltraDoc is one of those ones, and it's a system for automating pretty much everything you could think of. It's really good, but it takes a bit to get your head around. I don't think it's the most user-friendly way of programming, but I'll show you that. And out of that, you create a template, and from that template, it basically populates that template from the input you give from the Google form, and it emails out the replenishment order in a template. And it works really well if you're using Google, the Gmail. You can go through Outlook or anything like else as well, but they ask you to buy an add-on for that. But I've done it all in Gmail, so I've done this whole thing, start to finish, in the G Suite using the free stuff. And I'm using the free stuff as much because I'm Scottish and don't want to pay for anything, as just proving that I could do it.
Scottish and the Dutch guy figuring things out for free.
Is there a better way of doing it? So we thought, right, okay, we need some play stuff. So we come up with a Kanban card. And this is one of my kind of standard Kanban card templates that I've used over the years. So say the aim is to scan that card and move it through from that. And so within the client site, we've actually kind of done some of these cards, a variation of that card, but they've all got a barcode on them now, and the guys are scanning the barcode as they go through. And see, one of the other things they asked for was approvals. So there's a little plugin for G Suite called Form Approvals, which is pretty good. And what it'll let you do is add individual or multiple approvals. So it's like you fill in the form, and the person will get an email, and so you have an approval to do and give you some information. And you can set an order, so it might be I need person 1, 2, 3, and 4 to approve this for it to happen in this order, and it'll let you do that, and it'll send emails in that order.
So is the approval for confirming that the entry can take place?
Yeah, I mean, so what the client's looking for is he's got some things which are still in Kanban, because he's essentially turning his whole stores over to the Kanban system. Because he didn't have a big Flash ERP system,
right?
So he's got a planning system which cost him, I think it was like $400 off the shelf to do, and it doesn't really do inventory management.
So then my question would be: is the client a lean client, and does that not take away from the power of the individual person who's scanning all this stuff in?
Good question. First answer is he lean? No.
Okay.
He's just starting on that journey.
Okay.
Does it take away from the power? Yeah, it does, and that's what we've talked about. So look, that's not the point of what we're trying to do. And what we're trying to do is streamline the process as well, and say, well, it's one less thing you have to worry about.
Yeah,
but
he's creating a bottleneck right there.
Yeah, but there are some things that he's buying, which arguably might not be something you'd put on Kanban, but because of the value of them, they're really expensive.
Right.
In terms of his business. So, some of the stuff he's putting on, it's an electronics company, so some of the stuff he's putting on boards, some of the chips are $1,000 each. And he says, well, I don't really want to order them automatically unless, we've got the money in the bank to do that.
Okay.
Arguably, they should come off of Kanban and go into something else.
Well, that, or you have maybe a hierarchy for the Kanban where you sit there, sort of. I only think I can relate to like customs value, where you've got a low value shipment and a high value shipment. Where a low value shipment, let's say it's just toilet paper or a plunger, not too much of a big deal. But if you've got something that's a high value shipment, if you identify it as such a high value shipment, then you do require that additional scrutiny. The lower value stuff, not so much a big deal.
Yeah, exactly, and that's one of the great things about having this thing's got dynamic approvals. So you can actually make an approval based on a set of criteria and say, if it matches this criteria, it needs approval. If it doesn't, carry on and move forward. So what it'll actually, this is a little screen for setting up. So you can see I can add multiple recipients. And I can add some logic around it and say, well, if you're buying haggis and you get more than one of the Kanban cards, then it would go for approval. If it didn't, if it was anything else, if it was whiskey or bananas or whatever the other things are we have in the system, it doesn't need approval. It just carries on through, which is quite a nifty little bit. And then what happens is you get an email that looks like this. It says that's what's been added, and you can approve it, decline it, or you can add some comments, which will go back to the person on the mail. You can also you can code this in, some additional messaging, whatever you want that gets added on the top here. So depending on what gets added or what gets ordered, you could add that in. So if it was specifically for one particular customer or a group of customers, you could add some more information in there. So this is the bit that we're playing with just now. to see how we can make this work, and tick off another box from that. The other thing so one of the other bits that makes the system hang together in the G Sheets and Google Sheets is using some of the formulas, which, I mean, I'm quite an Excel geek, but I haven't done this sort of stuff in Excel, which is basically importing an entire range of sheets or range of cells, almost like a database import into Excel. You can probably do it, but I was surprised.
You're doing a VLOOKUP, which means your data is going to have to be sorted a specific way, which is, it gets limiting. The best one to probably use, which I'm horrible at, but I know it works the best, is index match.
Yeah, no, you're right. Which I haven't had. I mean, I have to say, in the G Suite one, I haven't played too much with the order or the index match. This one here, import range, is us actually importing in a whole other spreadsheet. This thing here, this whole purple one, is the spreadsheet, the identification of the spreadsheet. So every spreadsheet in Google gets its own thing. So all I've done here is actually imported another spreadsheet and using the VLOOKUP to match it. But yeah, we might have to look at index match and see that. So that's kind of been one of the, I guess, the major building blocks for it, and you'll see that in the system.
Funny how everything comes down to a VLOOKUP.
Yeah. Yeah. If I'm not VLOOKUPs, it's HLOOKUPs.
Yeah.
You know, it's yeah. So those are kind of the building blocks, if you like. So we've got a QR code generator in the system as well, which I'll show you, which is really good. Copy down is a formula, an add-in for G Suite, which, do you know what? It's one of the most fantastic things in the world. Again, you could possibly do it in Excel. Probably have to use a macro, but this is a little thing where if you've got a formula in a row, that becomes your reference row. And it just, as you're adding more data through a form, it will just copy down all your formulas for you. And then Form Ranger does all the lookups and all that sort of stuff. So that's all the kind of building blocks, if you like, that we used for doing that. Alright, so now what I'm going to do, if I can do this, is swap my screens. Bring over, so hopefully you can see that now.
Yep, brilliant.
Alright, so here's all the stock transactions we've been doing. And it's all, so I'll pull up the other sheet. So this is that sheet. So okay, well, we've got some haggis, we've got some whiskey, we've got some bananas, we've got some raspberries. So these are our supplier information that gets used in our stock sheet. And so the first couple of lines I just added some stock in. And here's our lookup.
Yeah.
Here. And then we'll just carry that across to look up the assorted ranges. And I've set the Kanban sizes, which I think I set in here. Yep. Which again gets looked up. And then I've added some columns of how much have you used, and some balances. So the first 4 lines is really just kind of setting it up for playing from that. And then what I found I had to do was play and add some formulas for just to give the running balance of stock. And so this is where it gets ugly. That I'm looking for a better way of doing this, where I'm effectively looking up each column, saying, well, what is it I'm actually adding?
Yeah.
So it's saying if it's haggis, then put the number here. If it's malt, put it here, and then it'll rebalance back to here.
Because you're going to need a running tally of what you've got And what
Exactly.
what you've used in the past, and that's the other challenge too. Because I mean, would you essentially? I mean, if I was thinking about this from just a database point of view, then I maybe would create a table, possibly for each item. I don't know, or one table that has, or sorry, a table, and then you list each item, and then you've just got an infinite number of, stock adjustments with your plus or minus.
Yeah, and that's basically what the yellow.
Yeah.
The yellow is, and we've taken that and turned it into this a pivot. So you can see all the stock that we've done, pluses, minuses, from there, which is running off of this. And then you've got some over here. You can see this is this copy down formula. It's automatically copying every time I add in. This is copying all the rows to copy down that lookup from here. So this is the sheet, and then we've got, say, this is where we're playing with the approvals. So you end up with an approval history as well, which are here, and you can see stuff that's I've declined. I've got one in progress, so it's waiting on somebody accepting it. If it's accepted, you get a complete.
Gotcha.
From there, and you can do some charts on your inventory, which automatically update themselves. And this is what we use for creating the scan codes. So these are our scan codes. So I've just copied them in as units. And see, what I did was I've got an add-in, QR generator. And you select a cell and you generate the code.
That's really cool.
And you end up with the code. So the aim is that someone basically fills in a form. So to get the information into your sheet, this effectively comes from a form, which is a minimum. So this is the design of the form. So if I convert the form into a live one, I've got drop down. So you're either adding stock in or using stock. So this is obviously you're adding stock in. You're bringing it in to the system. So you can use some stuff and this, and then put in your how many cards. So you can have that, and that's okay. But for the sake of speed, what we added in was that scan ability, and to do that, all we needed on the phone was a QR reader, and it automatically launches this form as a website. And it comes pre-filled in, so we've got codes for using.
I remember we talked. I remember I was giving you that idea to sit there and say, you should always go as direct, have it pre-filled out, and then you're just going, quantity 1 or quantity 5, just that pre-QR code. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's what we did. We went, right, so we've got some for using it. And I thought about, well, when you hit when you hit a Kanban card, it's generally always going to be one from a stock point of view, from what we're doing in this site. It might be bigger or lower than in other places. But they're easy enough to generate other codes for. And then you just hit submit. So when it comes for the phone, when it loads up on the phone, it comes up like this, pre-filled in, and you hit submit, and that's it. So it's really, really quick.
Yeah. There's no way to do an auto submit, is there?
I don't know. There But there may well be.
Yeah.
May well be. I mean, there's add-ons galore. So one of the things I've done, like here, for instance, that drop down actually is this is where this form ranger add-on comes in. So if I start that.
I just know, for example, if you were using JavaScript, if you had a button on the website, you could basically say, on click, do such and such action, and then you wouldn't have to push anything. It would just go to the next screen automatically.
Yeah, I mean, I'll need to have a dig around the add-ons, but they may well be. This one here, the entries to this form are automatically updated using the form ranger from here. So if I went in and say we're going to add something else in, so let's say we're going to have some Lego. We'll have a part number, and there'll be 10 in the Kanban. And I'll just keep that email. Then you find if I click on this, it goes to that sheet. There's a Lego.
Cool.
Now, I'm forcing it here, but you don't actually have to. It will automatically update for you. So there it's there. So if I reload that,
there it is.
there it is. And so this is a tool that we use a lot in the other company. Say we've actually built an entire quality management system using this as well. And on here, we've got it looking up products and customers for ECNs and customer returns and all that sort of stuff. And it's all working off of the same process where you've got a list of products, and it's pointing to that list. And anytime you add a new product into it, you don't have to come back and edit the form. It's automatically added in. So it's kind of set and forget with that little add-in. The other add-ins so there's the form approvals one, and then the form publisher one actually lets you send it out to certain places. So you can automatically send it to a Google document based on the results that are coming back in. So it's filling back into this sheet, and then this sheet says using a few add-ons. And once you've added an add-on in, it's in for everything. So there's our copy down one. And so it's using formula row 2. And these are all the formulas, and it's just copy them. So I can copy and paste as values if I wanted to, or I can just copy the formulas. So I'm copying the formulas down. And then I don't have to worry about it anymore. And it's really useful if you're filling in a spreadsheet from a form. There's a QR one. And this is the orthodox one. Like you said, so that opens up into this, and this is probably something that means a bit more to you, Mark, than it does for me. It's been a bit of a challenge from my point of view. But basically what it's doing is it's just logic blocks. So first thing it's doing is it's only executing when you're using stock. because obviously if you're adding new stock in, you don't want to order stock, so we're only interested in executing a command when you use it. And then it has to wait for a minute, because between the form, what we found was between you submitting the form and it appearing in here can take a little bit of time because of the lookups to get all the numbers in properly. So we put a delay in and just say, oh, we'll make it a minute. And then it's going to look for the information, and this is all the info that it's going to grab.
That's really interesting. Because if you were to take a database, you know, just for an access database, right? And let's say you're calling across maybe a database on a different server. You know, you'd probably, not that I can recall ever having to do this, but you wouldn't have to put a time or anything like that in there, like a, you know, kind of like a pause and wait until you've got all your information. You might do something, if you're really smart, you might test your connection to make sure that you've got a valid connection before you call out to that database on the other server. And then at least that way you know the connection is still valid, but this seems to be more like waiting for the result.
Yeah, it was a workaround I put in because of say when I add some stuff in here to do some of the lookups, there seemed to be a delay to get all the formulas in, and it was coming through empty values. So
There's
yeah, I stuck it in, and you know, in the grand scheme of things, when everything else is automated, waiting a minute, no one's ever going to know. But yeah, it was, you shouldn't have to, but it took a little bit of time. I guess because part of it, you're sending the information out to, and this is the caveat, you're sending information out to the Autodoc server, I think, and then it's coming back in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of funny how that works.
Yeah. And then I've put a code in, so this is stuff I'm developing just now based on if it's approved or not. So this is the bit that we're saying, well, if it's approved, carry on. If it's not approved, then I want you to skip the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't want you to send out an email.
Yeah.
But if it is approved, then what it's going to do is load all of these values into a template, which is Autodoc template. And then it's going to generate the PDF and update the template from that. Now I can do a whole bunch of other stuff. I mean, you've all these controls, core controls over here. We'll get some flow controls. And it's just drag and drop and update. I can put in some additional lists, joins, output tools. There's the email tool.
Funny, I always find interesting is that there's not many people who sit there and they don't put the emphasis on this part of the code. And when you're sitting there creating a flow, whether you're in Excel writing a macro or something like that, it's probably the most, user interface is important and how you enter details is important, but what you write on the back end can considerably change the experience. Considerably.
Oh, yeah, big time. Absolutely. And it's been one of this. So this has been my biggest learning block.
Yeah, it's a challenge. That's a challenge.
I mean, you've got JavaScript there. You was talking about using that. It's not something I know about, but you know, you can put your own script in, some notifications as well. So this is one where we're sending an email out, and so at the moment I'm in this demo one I'm putting out to just a PDF, but in the live one we're sending out an HTML email, which is going directly to the customer. The supplier. No, but I can put out a PDF. I can merge them, stamp them, do a whole bunch of clever things with them, and a whole bunch of it. So there's you've got a huge number of controls. This one's new. Is it the Zapier?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if you've used Zaps at all.
No.
but it's a great tool. It's one of those. It lets you link up two entirely different programs and pass the information between them really quickly. So Microsoft's got something similar, Microsoft Flow, which is pretty good, which I'm playing with in the background. Because actually I'm thinking a lot of the stuff here you can do with that. But it's similar to, again, you get these programs called If Then Else was another one. And so Zaps will do that sort of stuff. So this is, I guess, the brain behind doing the next bit, which was how do we send, so we filled in the form, and we've got the stock transaction. What do we do with that now? And that was, well, we really want to send that to the supplier. I said, okay, well, what do we want to send to the supplier? Well, we want to send an order. And so here's the replenishment order that we might send out. And, you know, I mean, the one that we're doing in the live system is different from this. This is just my play one. But this is automatically generated.
Have you tried converting that into, say, a CSV file? Because my thought would be, you know, if you were to take this down the EDI, like an EDI route or using a CSV, right? Essentially, what you could do is just import that information into, you know, that supplier system, and instead of having to say, oh, I'm gonna this email for this order. Well, instead of keying it in manually into their system, what if you're able to map and import that into their system?
Yeah, it's a really good idea. Well, there must be I'll have a look. I haven't looked at it yet, but yeah, I can't see a reason why you couldn't put out a CSV.
Yeah. I mean, a CSV is just a text file, but that's the thing is, a lot of these programs that I've seen so far, they don't really allow like an import style feature. They'll go EDI, but I don't see like an import of CSV into there, because that would save a lot of the manual data entry and everything, and minimize your mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, big time. So at the moment what we're doing is just mailing effectively this part in an email to the supplier with a few other bits added on. And then they're code, they're manually putting that into the system. But you're right, if we could maybe not interface with the system, but give them a CSV that they can just suck straight in.
Yeah.
Then that's certainly going to help.
Or whatever format it needs to be. So, in other words, if you start off as a CSV, but theirs doesn't take CSV, it takes some other file, maybe there's a way to convert that CSV to a different file format and then have them, you know, import into theirs.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
Yeah,
they may have to contact their, you know, whatever program they use, they might have to contact the company that programs that program to say, do you have something that can convert this file format to this?
Yeah, I like that idea. So yeah, so that's effectively the system.
It's really cool.
And this one here is one that I was playing with for another client. I'll just show you this for something else that you can do in Google Forms, and you can do this. I'm sure you do this in other things, but if you look in here, you can see it's got after section goes to next section, and this but this one here goes to section 7. This one here containing the next section. Here, depending on the answer, I'm going to go to either section 5 or section 6. And what this was a bit of a demo or a bit of a play for somebody to say, well, he's got people taking orders over the phone and they're making mistakes. And they're offering options for doors that aren't available.
Yeah.
That's for an internal door, or that's for an external door, or whatever. So, okay, well, what if you had a system where it forced you down the route? Okay, well, here's the internal option. It's flush panel. Okay, well, flush panel, you can only have what type of knob you want.
Those two.
That.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
Oh, it's an external door. Okay. Well, those are the types of external doors you can have.
Yep.
You can have that. Okay.
Have you tried hooking up keystrokes to these things? So in other words, like if you've got internal and external on that screen, you can push like an I or an E?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't. I know it works well on touchscreen. So you can just hit the one that you want on a touchscreen. And that's what they've been doing. So they've taken this and gone, because it's so simple to do.
Yeah.
And again, case responses, but it goes back to a spreadsheet. So they've taken this and they've gone off and built. So I've shown them how to do it, and they've gone off and built their own, and they're actually running their call center with it now. So rather, because I mean, you can go and buy proper call center and order taking systems, but they're a small 5-person operation. And
you don't need to go that much.
We don't need to do that, and we can't afford it. They've been working off of sheets to date.
Yeah.
And then this is just taking them a step forward. Yeah. And it's like, this is free. Why wouldn't you use it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you get to the point, well, this doesn't do what we want to do anymore. Okay. Well, change it. Or if you want to go to a Big Brother solution, you've got this base stuff. You can say to whoever the next supplier is, go, that's what we're using just now. We want it to do something similar to that, but with these bells and whistles. And at least you'll be something to jump off of.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's brilliant, man. I'm blown away.
I've been quite impressed at everything you can do. I'm sure we're only scratching the surface. If I go into get add-ons, I mean, look at all the add-ons that are here.
That's insane.
Isn't it? It's just like, oh, I mean, there's a schedule, an email scheduler.
Yeah.
There's links to Salesforce.
I mean, you could take a scheduler and sit there and go, you could put in lead times for how long it takes to order in equipment, or order in a Kanban. Order in that supplier, and then, you expect it by such and such date. That's when it should be there. You could pull that off too, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where it ships from, the expected transit time that it could be.
Yeah.
How many days the supplier takes to sit there and fulfill the order. That could come into your transit time. Yeah,
exactly. This is one I've used Lucid Chart before, which is an okay flowcharting program. But I'm playing with a part in this other client's quality management system that we've been developing, where we're using flowchart for the operator and to work through the process. And depending on which button or which part of the chart they hit, it'll open up the process, the standard worksheets that they need for that. This is standard work for this part of the process, and walk them through. And so that electronics company, there are 4 people, and they've got some big customers. They've got 4 people running this place now, and they've all got tablets. Everything runs on an Android tablet, a decent-sized Android tablet. They don't have any paperwork anymore, and it's all on Gsuite.
Brilliant.
They're using SurveyMonkey to do the customer. So they've done ISO 9000, which is all in Gsuite. They're using SurveyMonkey for their customer service questions. So when they do a delivery, when they do a shipment to a customer, what also goes out is a SurveyMonkey survey to say, Did you get everything you needed? Are you happy? Did it meet your expectations?
Yeah.
Automatically, without Andy having to do anything. So you can, I mean, it's just limitless.
I still like Mike Senior's idea. I can't remember if you were there or not. When he basically said what they did is, in order to issue an invoice, the customer had to fill out the customer satisfaction survey to see if they were, good with everything, and then they would issue the invoice. That was really smart.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really nice pitch, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're not happy, we're not going to invoice you.
No.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool.
Hmm.
So there you go.
Nice. That is really awesome, man. I'm glad. It just blows me away. You can do lots with. I was kind of surprised before, but now I'm just kind of floored.
Yeah, I mean it's really quite amazing. So we've built a quality management system and another one, and it's got certificate conformance reports. It's got quality management reports. It's got flags that kick out if as the guys are putting in the quality yield stuff. It will send an alert email if it needs to, if it's not happy, and it's all off the shelf stuff in Gsuite, and we haven't paid for anything with it as well. I think if you're doing, when they get a bit further into it, they probably have to buy some of them for the next level up, just because of the volume. But I've been really surprised.
Well, I was going to say volume and possibly security could become an issue as well.
Yeah, I mean, you are, I guess, at the mercy of if someone changes their code. Because you're cobbling all these bits together. If someone comes in and changes their code on you, then you have a problem, and you have to bear that in mind. If Mr. Google decides that he's going to fundamentally change what he's doing, there's nothing you can do about it.
No.
So you have to kind of bear those things in mind when you're doing that.
But that's no different than what goes on. I mean, that part's no different than what goes on right now with Microsoft. I mean, half the time, people are using outdated, macros or functions that are from X amount of years ago because that's where their Excel version's at. They haven't upgraded anything new because it doesn't support the old code, and they don't want to sit there and pay someone to sit there and redo it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's become so bloody complicated.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Cool.
All right.
I've learned a ton. I got a lot to. Got my brain thinking about some things now.
Good. Think lots. Yeah. Every time I come in and start playing with it, or start playing with the quality system, I go away going, oh, if only I could, and then a wee while later you figure it out, because somebody's already got something somewhere, and there's a couple of really good help sites for the Google stuff, for the sheets, for some of the coding. I mean, some of these formulas, thank goodness for YouTube.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I've never seen import range. I haven't used import range. I've heard of it, but that's the first one for me.
Yeah, it's
to find it.
Yeah, it is really good. I use it in the other one for pulling in. So, for instance, in the quality management one that we've got, if you raise when you start a job, you open up a job sheet, and it's pull down lists to say, well, these are the products, and it creates the job sheet for you. What it also does is it'll pull the quality data for the last couple of jobs for you automatically, using that import range, and show you what the quality results have been and what the faults have been for the last 5 jobs. And that gets printed out at the same time, so you automatically go, that's what we're building, and that's how it's run before. You've got the information to start with, so you know what you're looking for. real simple to do.
Oh, cool.
All right.
Cool, man. Thank you.
I shall let you go back and do some proper work.
This is the best work I can do right now. Be quite honest.
All right. So I will save the recording and I'll stick it on YouTube or something and then share it on the page with everybody.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right.
You can listen to ourselves and then everyone else can listen to us.
Ah, yeah, we sound so intelligent.
Did Alan approve the whiskey?
I don't know. I never thought to check. I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's a good one.
No, he seems a little picky.
Scamper. No, I'm sure I told him about it.
Alright.
He'll be fine. He'll be alright.
Alright, man.
No worries.
Thank you again, eh?
Cheers, Mark.
Alright, cheers. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.